Hello, and welcome to Sideways. I'm whispering because editing the show this week, I got to the point where it felt as if I was shouting all the way through our conversation, and I'm sick of the sound of my own voice. I wasn't in fact shouting, it's just that Martin had forgotten to turn on his microphone, and so sounded like a church mouse. Anyway, we're talking about why people find it hard to take advice, and I'm going to advise Martin to turn on his mic next week. We also disagree about Eurovision, and Martin panics in a restaurant. Why we don't take advice.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Are you okay?
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Get any apples?
I've got some apples. It's a bit
Pears? Pears?
Yeah, got some pears. Yeah, it's a bit rainy at the farmers' market. Well, not rainy, but it's damp at the farmers' market. It's been raining overnight, isn't it?
Did you have to wear Wellingtons?
No, it wasn't that bad. I just anticipated after yesterday's weather that it's going to be nice. But there we go. That's England for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's very British to start the episode talking about the weather.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah. Mm. And I think that it's an ever-changing landscape. So it's worthy of... Huh?
I was just going to say, I imagined we might start this morning talking about Eurovision.
Do you want to?
Well, surely you watched it.
Of course not, no. Well, actually, I was out watching a band last night and I got in and it was the good part of Eurovision where the results come rolling in.
Oh, that's the bit I don't watch.
Oh, no, I don't. I just like watching the results.
Well, that must be... That seems ridiculous. If you haven't seen any of the bands, you're just watching the results.
Yeah, well, I don't like all the stuff on there. It's all terrible music, and it's just.
Yeah, I see some quite good tunes on last night, I thought.
Well, may well have been, but no.
I didn't like. I know everyone was fussing about the UK entry, and he came second, didn't he? Which is miraculous. I still remember the days of Cliff Richard in Eurovision, and
quite Bucks Fizz and people.
Yeah.
Like that.
What did Cliff Richard sing? Was it "Swing Me High, Love"? Was that him, or was it "Swing"? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway,
congratulations. I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe he entered twice, and I'm thinking of another song.
I think he probably did.
Well, anyway, the UK entry. When I first heard it, and if anybody is familiar with the song or hasn't heard it, I can now not get this out of my head. Whenever I hear it, just before he goes into the chorus, I was convinced he was singing "I'm a piss face."
I'll have to re-listen to.
Yeah, if you listen to it, just as he moves into the chorus, I'm convinced. I mean, I know what he's singing now. I can't actually remember what it is. Something about space, but it sounds exactly like "I'm a piss face," which I thought was I thought that's an odd entry to put into Eurovision.
No wonder he didn't win in that case, swearing on the Eurovision. It was nailed on that Ukraine were going to win anyway, and quite rightly so.
It's fair enough, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't suppose that's what you wanted to talk about today.
It's not, no. Well, no, it's not. You've dragged me straight away from what I wanted to talk about, because what I wanted to talk about is why people don't listen to advice.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, where'd that one come from?
Well, it's an idea that I mentioned in last week's episode, if you remember rightly, and that had come to me after I just finished a meeting, and I was driving home mulling over what had transpired from the shares and from the attendees, and I did a quick voice note on my phone, thinking, that would make quite a good episode.
Mm. But did you put it into your Sideways notebook when you got home?
Of course, yeah.
Right, okay. Just wanted to check. I didn't.
I know that you said last week you forget to transport stuff across, so
yeah,
I did exactly that.
Well, I don't have a Sideways notebook, so I can't transport it across anyway.
No, you're sadly lacking.
Yeah. But
before we start and crack on with it,
yeah,
we've had there's quite a bit of feedback we've had actually. The one on last week's episode on tact.
Right.
It's quite nice. Had some nice comments on that. And we even got a like from the band Tactful Cactus, which was nice, obviously.
Really?
Yeah. We mentioned and put their track on the Spotify playlist. So
we their only fan, do you think?
No, I think they're quite well respected, and it's a
Are
great
they?
track. So there we go. It was very worthy.
I'm going to have a look and see how many monthly listens they have on Spotify. I'm still listening to you as well, though, because as you know, I can multitask.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and we had a bit of feedback from the episode before last. Someone enjoyed the story about the landlady who fell out of the window of the first and last pub. that was nice. Another episode related story. I went to the dentist this week.
Nice.
Usual 6 monthly checkup, and she said, "Do you want to book in for 6 months' time?" I said, "Yeah, cool. Yeah, might as well do it now while I'm here." She said, "I'll offer you a couple of dates, but one of them was Thursday, the 17th of November." So I said, "Right, I'm going to have that one."
Yeah, that was a must, wasn't it?
It was a must. And just further on from our episode on tact, I found myself in a position where I didn't heed my own advice this week.
Oh,
yeah. I said something a bit tactless.
What did you do?
Well, it was. It didn't land too badly. It was reasonably jocular in the end. But I thought afterwards, I shouldn't have said that. Really, it's just that I was at a bit of a gathering, and there was my daughter's father-in-law there, and we're talking about the work we do for our respective charities.
Yeah,
and he works. He does some volunteering for a charity that raises money for the local church. He's quite big with the local church.
Yeah,
he said, they're looking for funds for the roof and repairs. It's quite an old church, and obviously it's quite tight getting money in. And I said, "Well, can't you just pray for it?" And so I thought, yeah.
Oh.
and I thought afterwards that I should have. He took it. He said, "No, it doesn't work like that." Took a good part, but I thought afterwards I shouldn't have said that really, because it's almost putting a question mark against his faith or people that do believe in prayer. I was almost ridiculing it, and I felt bad about it afterwards.
It was actually, and have we done an episode on this? That was a bit passive aggressive, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, because it's you are, without openly saying so, questioning his faith.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't think about it till after.
I think you should feel thoroughly ashamed about that.
And I apologise, Andrew.
You should do a penance.
Don't make it worse.
In fact, I think you should go to Mass today.
Well,
you're too late now. You'll have to go next week.
Yeah, perhaps I should. You're right.
Talking of churches, I was on morning worship this morning, which I always leave on a Sunday morning for Nellie.
Yeah,
when she's having a sleep. I've never heard this before. I've never heard people doing interviews in the middle of church services. But anyway, that's what they were doing. They were interviewing a recovering addict. You might want to have a little catch up with that, because many of the things that she was saying were absolute echoes of the things that we talk about, the things that you talk about in terms of the importance of recovery. And one of the things that really struck me was her talking about how she's reached the point now where she's comfortable to endure her emotions, whatever they are. And I thought, amen to that is what
Excellent.
I thought.
And quite rightly so.
Anyway, Tactful Cactus get 12 monthly listens on Spotify. So I don't... And to put that into some sort of perspective, I get 2.
Do you? Well, they're better than you. They're 6 times better than you, which is I'm happy with that. In fact, I was looking on Spotify yesterday when I was doing my research. Friday, and just I was listening to a bit of Passenger.
Don't like Passenger. Can't stand his voice.
Oh, I think it's great. But he was one of the songs on there. I can't remember which one it was now, but it had 1.5 billion listens.
Wow,
isn't it?
Wow, that must be. I can't remember what that famous one he did was. That is quite a lot of listens. I think that's probably more than any of my songs have got.
Yeah. 1.5 billion. That's incredible, isn't it?
That is a lot. You're right. He does write nice songs, but as I say, I can't. You've probably got artists like that where you might appreciate their songs, but you just can't tolerate listening to the voice. The other person that springs to mind there is David Gray. Brilliant songwriter, but I just can't listen to him.
Okay. Let's got that off your chest.
Yeah, thanks.
But I wanted to lead on. You sort of cut across my segue, really.
Oh, sorry.
About me being tactless.
Yeah.
And then going on to, it leads on to, because I didn't heed my own advice from our episode, and it leads on to quite nicely.
Yeah.
As to, why. I was looking at why people don't heed advice. I mean, I can understand when people react negatively to unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, do you remember the Fast Show that used to be on TV?
Loved the Fast Show.
Yeah, and there's a character on there, there's a chap in the pub who would always get involved in everyone else's conversations, and he'd give advice on people playing the fruit machine.
Yeah. What's his name? Billy, I want to say Billy Bleach.
I don't know, but
I can't remember what his name was.
He was a Cockney geezer, wasn't he? He said, what you want to do, mate? He said, you hold the button down there, look up in the reels and see if there's 2 bars up there, then you put 10p in further or put another £1 in, son, and then you let it spin twice, and then the bloke loses all his money. He said, well, it didn't work that time, but you never know. Unsolicited advice, we all hate that, don't we? But you and I, we always get people coming to us asking for advice. And that happens, obviously that peer support groups are all about listening to people and giving helpful advice. And so it never fails to amaze me when it isn't heeded or it's ignored. And when I was doing the research on this and looking for reasons, because I think it'd be quite nice to understand why people don't, heed advice. And there is a number of reasons I want to come on to. But the research shows, when someone does ask for advice, people tend to fall into 3 categories, and you'll probably back this up. You get those that take no notice of the advice. There's those that listen to it and do nothing about it, and then there's those that embrace it and sort of go away and flourish and do everything how it's supposed to work. But it's this sort of that middle category, really. It's always intrigued me. I can understand the other 2. That's straightforward. But the ones where people seem to be taking it on board, but then just go away and do nothing about it. So I wanted to have a look at that, really.
Okay.
And I looked on. Well, I'm going to the courtesy this week is to pairedlife.com. That came up in the research, and they were looking at 6 reasons why people don't heed advice.
Is this PARED rather than?
It's PAIRED.
Oh, paired. I thought it was paired as in paired back.
No, it's people being paired together. It looks at relationships and bits and pieces. So there's probably loads more than 6. But I want to just go through those because I'm sure you'll be able to add some as we go along.
I should probably declare my position here first, should I, before we get into this?
Well, because if you feel that it's going to be a relevant interjection.
I think it is relevant because it might inform some of my views on what you're about to talk about. Because as a therapist, we try very hard not to give advice.
Okay.
Now, obviously, some therapists will say, well, therapists never give advice. I don't believe that. I think we kind of do. We might kind of do it in a slightly less overt way. So, I might say to someone something like, how would it be if you tried such and such?
Sure.
Which is not direct advice. But I think, part of the reason that therapists or therapy doesn't give advice is because fundamentally people don't tend to change until they decide.
Okay.
So what you're kind of trying to create in someone is the desire themselves to change. So that may or may not be relevant to what you're about to come on and talk about.
I think it probably is. It just sounds like you get paid for doing nothing, really. You can just ask people. People they already know the answers. You just got to wheedle it out of them. Is that about right?
Yeah, or sometimes neither of us know the answer. But, it's a voyage of discovery then, isn't it? I almost said a journey then. But
you did, didn't you?
I managed to stop myself.
Right at the last moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, but in no particular order, I just want to go through these. The first one that came up was the fear of change. And all these points seem to be very relevant, certainly in addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
And taking advice on acting on it and then acting on it can mean you've got to make major changes. So I think people fear that. They fear that change, and therefore they don't really want to take the advice on board.
Yeah, fear of change definitely, and of course that would figure whether you were taking advice from someone else or trying to take advice from yourself.
Exactly. I mean, it goes on to say that the fear of change, it can also be looked at as the fear of success or fear of the unknown. And I looked back because we've done a couple of right back in season 1, episode 13, we did one on fear. Remember right? And then we did one in season 3, episode 21, which was the fear of missing out. So fear has been quite prevalent throughout our recording history.
Yeah, well. fear of success is an interesting one, and one that I imagine would probably feature quite highly in people who are thinking of going into recovery or thinking of stopping drinking, because that fear of success is terrifying, because you think, well, hang on, if I stop drinking now and everybody knows I've stopped drinking, what if I can't maintain it?
Yeah.
So there's an enormous amount of pressure on, once you do something successfully, maintaining that level of success. And I think with something, I would imagine with something like going into recovery, the thought of being able to sustain that, continue the success must be...
Well, it's a massive hurdle to overcome, an emotional hurdle, because that goes through everyone's mind. Yeah, I'm sure everyone that goes into recovery thinking, "Oh, this is going to be hard. This is going to be tricky. How am I going to be able to do it?"
Yeah,
and I think it did come up. It's come up in meetings often where people say, "I don't know if I've got the willpower to do it." It's especially in the first few days when things change massively, and it comes up a lot.
Yes, so I agree with that one, definitely.
Good. Yeah. Well, the second one was denial. Now, that's massive in addiction, obviously. But obviously, if you deny you've got a problem, then you don't need to take advice on board to deal with it. And that happens. I mean, it's not so bad once you get into recovery, but certainly before it happens, you're denying it all the time. People advise you, again, maybe unsolicited, that you need to do something about your drinking or your drug taking. And you know that's going to be the best way forward. But perhaps you think, well, no, just deny you've got a problem. Because I remember going to AA meetings in the early days and just looking for people that drank more than me, so that I had a reference point of, well, perhaps I'm not an alcoholic after. I don't need to take any advice. That's I'm not an alcoholic. So I think we've all gone through that denial process in the recovery world.
Yeah, and denial is one of the key reasons why advice is a bad idea in therapy. Because you can sit and you can tell, even if someone's telling you a story and it's pretty plain what's going on, whether it be drink related or any other destructive behavior, until someone recognizes themselves that they've got an issue, it's a complete waste of time and energy to try and tell them.
Yeah.
If you can kind of explore that with them, but as soon as you say to someone, well, that's the problem, isn't it? What you need to do is to stop that or keep doing that.
Yeah.
There's a kind of human instinct, which is a resistance to doing things that people tell us to do. We want to make our minds up for ourselves. So as soon as someone tells you, sometimes, even if you've been kind of erring towards that yourself, it will kind of push you away from it. I think that's another reason that maybe you're going to cover.
It's almost instinctive, isn't it? That if someone questions the way you're behaving, you will fight back against it.
Exactly.
So which makes it doubly difficult in recovery circles to push on through.
Yeah, I suppose the advantage you've got in peer support is that one would think, I know it's not always the case, but one would think that the majority of people that turn up there have recognised they've got an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if they've been told to go by someone else, that's when you've got a problem.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most people do turn up. Well, they turn up for validation. Perhaps they think they haven't got an issue. So it can be a bit of a mixed bag. And that leads on quite nicely is that we often we get people coming, they want approval for doing things wrongly. That often crops up, always looking for reasons to why they won't take the advice given. If we, for example, you say what you need to do, you need to ring the local the recovery hub, ring on Monday, get yourself booked in and get an assessment done. And then they'll come back and say, oh, the phone took too long, no one answered it, or the recovery hub wasn't open, or, it was too busy. I was going to go, but then I had to go to a family party and I ended up drinking. So it's always trying to look for validation as to why they haven't done the things that they probably deep down do know that it was the right thing to do.
So when that happens in group, when someone comes in and they say, oh, I know we talked about this last time, but actually what happened was this. What tends to be the response from the group? How do you tend to deal with someone like that?
Just really with empathy, because we probably all gone through that procrastination. So look, well, try it again. Give it another go, because we know that we've seen success doing that, and try all different things. But no, give that one a go. Yeah.
What happens when you see someone doing it serially?
Again, it depends how long you're prepared for, and we don't turn anyone away, and we just keep going on it.
No, the reason I'm asking the question is because I'm kind of thinking of the parallels between that and therapy.
Yeah.
And I think, there comes a point in the kind of therapeutic relationship where someone is continually doing that, where part of the therapist's role is to challenge it, is to say, right, this now it's beginning to look like avoidance to me. We talk about this and you say you're going to go and do this, and more often than not, you come back and you haven't done it. Yeah. And you've always got what appears to be a valid excuse. Yeah. But what's going on here? Because you keep doing this. Yeah. And I wonder if that same kind of dynamic exists in peer support, because obviously it's a more finely balanced relationship in some ways, but I guess in other ways you can probably afford to be even more open and frank with people.
You can, and you're very careful not to appear sort of almost like bullying, especially if everyone's saying this is what you should do, this is what you should do, and so you have to be quite soft. And we know I've been on the receiving end of advice that I've not heeded. And I thought I was arrogantly thought, I know what I'm doing here, I can do this, and then you find it so much easier when the advice that has been given from people that have done it is actually right and is correct.
But do you think there's? I wonder if in group though, there's sometimes you sometimes find, rather than giving someone advice in that situation, I can't think of another way of saying this, and I wouldn't expect it to come out like this in group. But rather than giving advice, you're calling bullshit. You're saying to someone, yeah, I know you keep doing this, but actually what's going on here, which is it's not advice per se. It's you're telling yourself, it's a denial, isn't it? You're telling yourself that this is going on. Is that really what's happening? I wonder if that happens in that setting.
Not really, not as forceful as that. Often someone would say, "I'll tell you what, I'm going down there Monday. I'm going to recovery up. Do you want to come with me?"
Right.
And
okay.
So it's sort of we try and help each other out rather than dig each other out, which I think it works. It works better. We're all pretty sensitive and messed up people in there, so you've got to be really gentle. And it's that approach that tends to work. The shared collective responsibility to try and help individual people along. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it
must get frustrating.
It is frustrating, which is why I wanted to look into it as to why this happens, and I'm more au fait now after having done my research as to why it does happen.
Okay.
Because the next point that it comes on to is that often these people don't value themselves enough to want to take advice on board to improve their lot. I mean, I assume at that point it must be a sort of a self-esteem issue. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. People don't change for all manner of reasons, but usually at the root of a fear of change is a fear of the consequences being worse than they are if you stay where you are.
Yeah.
So, I think that's also true, particularly when you're in a situation like you are if you're drinking, where your self-esteem is likely to be on the floor anyway.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people will step back from doing something that will improve their lives because either consciously or unconsciously, they're not even sure they deserve it.
Which is an important point, isn't it? And I know we've talked about it before. Even though our lot is miserable in active addiction, we're comfortable because we understand, we know it.
Yeah.
And so moving away from that is tough.
Yeah.
And so taking advice on board to move away from that is a big decision. So I the more I read through the research, the more I sort of understood why people don't take advice. So I feel less frustrated by it. We've done this. That's been a good exercise for me as well. And the next point was that people perceive their reality different from the way others see it, or differently, I should say, from the way others see it. Now that's particularly relevant if someone does have mental health issues, or people on the spectrum, for example, and their perception of reality is different. And it's sometimes easier, or you think it's easier. You're looking at their situation from a distance, if you like. And so therefore you feel that you can give advice, but it's still quite tricky if their reality is different from yours, because that's never the twain shall meet at that point.
Yeah, which is another reason why often, in fact, it's kind of dangerous to give someone advice, because you can only give advice from your perspective.
Yeah.
You can't give advice. That's why you as an individual are always the best person to decide what should happen in this situation. Because you might be telling me something, but you don't see the world the way that I do.
No, exactly.
which is fortunate for you, I guess.
I wouldn't. Yeah, your view is completely distorted. You like Eurovision, for God's sake. You think that's worthy watching? You think that's good entertainment for a whole evening?
A couple of hours, all right. When you're sitting on the sofa with the dogs,
no. Even
not so bad, is it?
Yeah, it's even though the only bit I like is the results. That annoys me because it takes so long. I just want it up there, done and dusted, and I'll move on. Anyway, the next.
What are Australia doing in it anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. They're sort of a wild card, aren't they? I don't want to go back to Eurovision, but yeah, it just.
Well, you brought it up again.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think that's bizarre, isn't it? Anyway,
You don't have to get all aggressive about it.
At least I wasn't passive aggressive. At least I was openly aggressive.
Overtly aggressive, yeah. Well, that's all right then. The last point really is that people tend not to accept the fact that they're responsible for their own successes and failures as well. Again, looking to blame everything else and everyone else rather than take on board advice and responsibility for implementing that advice.
It's classic in addiction, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, we see that all the time. But it is something that, accepting responsibility. I spent years not accepting responsibility for the fact that I was drinking alcoholically. I just wanted to blame everyone else and everything. My lot was so bad that I deserved almost to have a drink. And then again, I deserved to be in a horrible state that I was in. Yeah,
it's that's related to that discussion we were having a couple of minutes ago, isn't it? When you see someone constantly doing something that is self-destructive, inherent in that is a lack of responsibility. Come on, take responsibility for yourself, because that's why this is happening. That's why you're going around in circles, your wheel's spinning, because actually you're not really saying, right, the only person that can change this is me. I'm worth changing it, and now I'm going to do it. So I imagine the answer is the same as it was before, but presumably it's hard to call people out in that way in group. But you're not really taking responsibility here, are you? It's like this is going on and on and on. You're sinking. The only person that can stop you sinking is you, but you're not doing it. What's going on? Yeah, again, you just have to use very roundabout sort of language to get that point across. That's for sure. And do it as gently as possible and as softly as possible to ensure that the point is being at least heeded. So that's about it, really. But I wanted to sort of wrap it up with because that's the 6 points covered. I want to wrap up with a couple of quotes, if I may. The first one is, and this is my own one. It's just I just made it up. It's only a very short one. It's quite straightforward. It's just from my own observations that advice is often heeded least by those who need it the most. Yep, I reckon that's true. Yeah, I couldn't find any other quotes that sort of reflected that. So I can't attribute it to anyone else. So I sort of made my own one up on that one. Yeah, and actually what we've just done is we've just explored all the reasons why that's the case. We have, yeah. Because quite often when you do need change the most, which is, we can interchange the word change for advice, can't we? Yeah. Then you'll find all manner of walls to put up to avoid you having to do it. Yeah. Yeah. The other quote is... it goes like this. It says, "No one is so perfect that he does not need at times the advice of others." Yeah. No, that was from someone called Balthazar Gracian. Obviously, you must have heard of him. Yeah, definitely. Well, because he was a Spanish Jesuit and Baroque prose writer and philosopher. Of course he was. Of course he was. I'm very familiar with his work. He was born in 1601. So, Oh, was he? I was going to ask if he's on Spotify, but obviously he isn't. So, this is 400 years later, and, his quote then still stands up. Yeah, I think the thing, I know we've kind of hinted at it all the way through, but the thing that I think lies at the root of this for most of us, when you consider that people don't take advice even when they need it, or if you think you're beyond advice, then you're foolish, according to that geezer you just mentioned. Yeah. But actually, the thing that I think we kind of forget to our detriment is that we can also take advice from ourselves. I was looking at that, and it looked like that was going to be a whole other episode, really. There's an awful lot in there as to why we don't take our own advice, or why sometimes we're quite good at giving out advice and then ignore it for our own purposes. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a classic. And quite often you find, sometimes people like this who will, other people will gravitate towards them to talk about their problems. And they're really brilliant at helping other people out and listening and all the rest of it. but when it comes to sorting their own lives out, they're shocking. And it's because, it's like the second best thing. The second best thing after helping yourself is being that sort of support to others.
Yeah.
So all the things that you should be doing, all the things that help, but you can't apply them to yourself. So you're right, that is another whole episode.
It is, because that happens an awful lot where people come into recovery and they're so busy trying to help someone else out that their own recovery is put on the back burner.
Yeah.
From what you said there, that may be conscious rather than subconscious. I hadn't really thought of that.
Well, I think it's probably both, because one of the reasons that people do that is because the only way they can derive a sense of value in themselves is by giving to other people. It's like if they're not giving anything, they don't feel worth anything. And so they give beyond their means just to feel like they're worthy. So it becomes kind of self-perpetuating and self-defeating.
It's another great point. I wonder if that'll be remembered in 400 years' time, like our old friend Balthazar.
I doubt it. I think for many reasons, one of which is that things move much more quickly, don't they, than they probably did in his time.
Yeah.
I expect he could afford to sort of sit around for days on end thinking up, pithy quotes like that, couldn't he?
Yeah, he probably did. Yeah, plenty of time on his hands. But
exactly.
So in 2422, our podcast would have been long resigned to the bin of old technology.
Well, you never know. I mean, maybe it might be more popular posthumously, mightn't it?
Trouble saying that word.
Yeah, shall I try it again? Posthumously. There we are.
Very good. Well done.
Posthumously.
I just wanted to move on to our regular sections, one being our gratitude list.
Okay.
Which again is something we talk about in groups a lot. About it's very nice this week where we had the people that have been on detox all week come into our meeting. So a fresh bunch of people come on. It's always a real joy. So I'm grateful for that. That's not what I'm putting down, but just something I just thought of.
What are you putting down then?
Well, what I'm putting down is I went to this Thursday, we went with my fellow Aspire people. We went out and had a meal together for someone's 1 year anniversary of sobriety.
Excellent. Lovely.
Which was lovely, yeah. So I was very, very appreciative to Sophie, who organised it all for us, which was really good. And it was a lovely evening, and everyone really enjoyed being in the company of people that weren't drinking.
Did people enjoy being in the company of you?
Oh, absolutely not. No. That was the blot.
Where did you go for dinner?
We went to Wildwood.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah. And it was nice because they put us on a big long table. We're all together, and it's because that can be potentially a little bit of a triggery environment, especially if people are in early recovery.
Definitely.
But everyone said how much they enjoyed it, because some people have been to do's where they're with other people that are drinking, which we all have to do, and they said how refreshing it was, on the table. I don't suppose the restaurant were that keen on not selling any alcohol because they make a decent amount of money on that.
Well, I'll tell you, I've only got one thing to say about that.
What's that?
Tough shit.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have fish?
I didn't know. I actually had a chicken burger. I panicked because I was talking and everything. And the guy come along and was looking at me to take my order, and I hadn't really looked at the menu. You know that awful feeling. The bloke next to me, Ben, he'd ordered something, and I said, I'll just have the same as that. That sounds good to me.
Oh, it's funny. I love it when you panic in those situations, like you panicked in the cheese shop that Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. But then I had time to try and get myself together. I didn't know what the hell I was talking. This time I just hadn't read the menu.
Actually, we haven't done panic.
No, we haven't.
We haven't done panic. We should do panic because, lots of examples of panic with you. Your panic purchase of seaweed pate, panicking in a cheese shop, panic ordering in a restaurant. You're a flipping bag of nerves, you are, aren't you?
Well, life is just one long episode of panic after another. So that's yes. What about yourself then for your gratitude? For this?
Well, I'm going to have two actually, because one of them you just reminded me of. Okay. So one of them, it's Nellie's first birthday tomorrow.
Wow, okay. So you having a little party down Wildwood for her?
Yeah, I don't think we'll go to Wildwood. I can't imagine that would turn out very well. Although, again, we wouldn't probably buy any alcohol. So I don't think, they don't drink a lot, dogs. Apart from that bottom sniffer beer you can get, can't you?
Yeah. Well, that's it. That was an old episode as well.
Yeah, so I'm grateful for that because she's been a joy. But I actually wanted the thing that I'd already thought of this week was it's a bit of a sprawling one. But I suppose actually it goes hand in hand with your gratitude for seeing people new in recovery, and that's opportunities. I've been busy this month because it's Mental Health Awareness Week last week, and I've been asked to do a number of different things, presentations and what have you. And when I'm in the midst of it, sometimes I think, oh God, this is flipping hard work. I've got so much work to do. But actually, when I reflected on it this morning, I thought, I'm so lucky to have that sort of variety, and that people come to me and say, oh, can you do this and can you do that? Because it keeps everything so kind of fresh and enjoyable. So I was feeling a bit miffed about it earlier in the week when I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. But actually, on reflection, I feel very fortunate. I'm very grateful that I have all that variety in my life. And I suppose, what you're talking about there is people coming new into recovery. I mean, if that's not a big opportunity, I don't know what is. So, you've got to be grateful for your opportunities, haven't you?
You have, and that's good. I did read your blog this morning, which I thought was very good, and in which you were talking about being very busy and on various projects. But they always say, don't they, that if you want something done, ask a busy man or a busy woman.
Do they say that?
They do, yeah, because those are the people that are in tune with getting stuff done on a tight schedule.
Well, if anybody listening wants something done, don't ask this busy man.
So that's it, really. But in the Spotify search, the only one I wanted to put on there really was a song by Tears for Fears called "Advice for the Young at Heart."
Okay, good.
Bands that we liked, but we've never purchased any material.
Well, okay, so I've got this does fit with the category, but this is more of a artist that actually when I was younger I didn't like, but as I've got older, whenever I hear stuff by him, I think, yeah, he's very good, isn't he? I don't know why I never really got into him, and it's David Bowie.
Oh, right, okay.
It didn't do anything for me when I was younger. But there you go. Our tastes change as we get older, don't we?
They do.
I didn't like anchovies when I was young, but I love them now. I could eat them out of the tin.
I think, a physical taste changes, but certainly a music taste does as well. There's more to choose from as you get older, obviously.
Too much, in fact.
Yeah, well,
have you done Choice?
Sorry?
Have you done Choice, The Paradox of Choice?
No. I'll put that on the list, mate. Yeah. I don't know how I'd do that. I'd have to think about that, I'm sure.
Oh, there's a great TED talk you could watch called The Paradox of Choice. It'll give you everything you need.
Is it? Right, that's episode sorted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Properly plagiarised.
Yeah. Go on, who have you got this week then?
Sleeper.
Sleeper, interesting.
Yeah, well, I remember there's songs like, Sail of the Century, I thought was brilliant. And
what, with Nicholas Parsons?
Do you remember that? It was great, wasn't it? Yeah.
And Live from Norwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I think about that song by Sleeper, Sail of the Century, I can't get the Supertramp song "Crime of the Century" out of my head.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll do.
Anyway, back to Sleeper. Yeah,
back to Sleeper. So I like them, and What Do I Do Now? One of their tracks that I really liked. But I think I tried to analyse it. And I thought, several of their tracks I quite like, but it's probably because I had a crush on Louise Wenner, the lead singer. I think that's probably where it came from.
Yeah, well, that's very honest of you, I suppose.
I think so.
That's very honest and vacuous of you. Well done.
It's cheap and shallow. You're right.
Yeah, it is. Are we done?
We'll catch up next week then, shall we?
See you then.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.